Behind the Shades.
Was related to my own childhood and the fact that as a child, I never really got what I wanted. My parents never really gave me what I wanted, whether it was, so just for like a background story, my parents were very abusive. So I was neglected as a child, but I was also abused. And when it came to material stuff, I remember when I was a young child, there were things that I wanted or activities that I wanted to do, but because to them it didn't matter, it wasn't important. They never, bought the thing or paid for this activity, for example. So I felt a lot of obviously not being supported, but also wanting for things to happen and wanting certain things and never getting them. So there was that. And there are probably other things as well, but this is what comes up now.
That's a good point. I know a number of people that feel there are certain childhood experiences that they would want. And when they look around, maybe that they felt like they didn't get it. And I think sometimes we forget that our parents try to do our best, but sometimes their best or sometimes the best of that person isn't necessarily what we need and may not be sufficient. And I know that you and I spoke earlier and we spoke on your podcast where sometimes the parents, they just have no idea what that child actually needs, and it stays with us for so much later on in life, especially
I do
right?
agree. Sorry,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
I
like
just want to say,
especially. No, go ahead.
I do agree when it comes to, for example, what could be perceived as a child, what could be perceived as neglect, for example, like for whatever reason you didn't get what you wanted, but maybe it was for your own safety, and a child cannot understand that. Obviously, for me, like from my experience, there was neglect, but there was a lot of abuse, emotional, physical, there was even sexual abuse. So it was kind of like a different environment.
Yeah, and then when you go through that, right? Because we spoke about it, is that your parents no longer your protector, right? They're the
They
ones
were
who
never.
actually, yeah, they're not that. So where do you go to get something like that?
Honestly, it's really funny that you mentioned this. Like for someone like me and other people who have gone through, this experience of not having your primary caregivers as your protectors, you kind of live life like you always have to have your own back, like you cannot rely on anyone and no one's going to help you. Yeah.
I would say maybe, and this is going to sound a little stereotypical, I say it's probably a lot scarier for women than it is for men, since men are viewed more so in general as a protector. But when a woman has to be her own protector, she can be kind of anxious and suspicious of the people that will enter her life.
Yeah. And, that's something that I've been able to work on, and it's way better now than it used to be. But as a woman, it really put me more in my masculine energy at the time, which is something that I've been working on for the past, ever since my burnout. So since summer 2021, but I was very much in my masculine. And that meant that I also attracted men who had a very wounded masculine, who were more like what I guess people would say emasculated in a way, like I was wearing the pants, which is actually freaking tiring for a woman to wear the pants, which is not something that I want anymore. But yeah, so I was attracting those men who I had to kind of like be a mom to. Not that they wanted that, but because they didn't have a strong masculine, they didn't make me feel safe. and they didn't make me feel safe because they didn't have like this strong masculine presence or confidence, or that makes you feel safe. So yeah, I was very much in my masculine energy, and it's been just a couple of years now that I've been, and I never looked like a man. I never wanted to be like a man, or I always looked very feminine, but I had a very strong masculine energy. Like, I was very dominant. I wanted things to be a certain way. I was a hustler, all the things. Yeah.
And that's the thing, when, especially for women, when they tap into their masculine energy for so long, and that well is so deep because they've been drawing from it for such a long period of time, it's hard for them to get out of it. And when they're trying to get out of it, there's that struggle because they're probably thinking, I've been this way for so long. If I change and try to be more feminine and more reliant on someone else, it opens me up to be hurt. It opens me up to heartbreak and heartache. Then they go back to what is comfortable. And what's comfortable is that masculine energy, which is always their protector because there is no one around to supplement their feminine energy with the masculine energy.